Mary Wollstonecraft was born April 27, 1759, to Elizabeth Dixon and Edward John Wollstonecraft. Mary's father had unhealthy habits that eventually led to the financial instability of the family. Furthermore, her father was extremely violent and abusive, and her mother was fairly distant. It is said that Mary used to lie beside her mother's door in order to protect her mother from her drunken father. After the death of her mother in 1780, Wollstonecraft set out into the world.
So in our class, AP European History, we regularly discuss Mary Wollstonecraft as she is a very prominent part of history. I think the boldest and most admirable thing she did was leave her home along with everything else she knew. Without the escape Mary Wollstonecraft made from her home, who knows what would have become of her. It was extremely brave to leave everything she was familiar with, but at the same time she knew she had to do it.
Mary eventually convinced her sister Eliza to leave her abusive husband and baby. Many historians believed Eliza to have been suffering from postpartum depression, which caused her to be extremely unhappy in her position.
Eliza knew that she couldn't take much more of the way she was living. Her husband was abusive and they just had a brand new baby she wasn't too happy about. Mary took her away from the environment, but mainly for her own good.
Mary and Eliza founded a school for girls in Newington Green with Mary's best friend Fanny. Mary was extremely disappointed when Fanny got married, but eventually credited her for changing Mary's life. Fanny's health was failing, and after marriage, she moved in order to seek medical assistance. When Fanny died, Wollstonecraft was devastated. She moved to Ireland, where she worked as a governess, but soon realized that she wanted to be independent.
Fanny's death made a tremendous impact on Mary. Fanny was the one who taught her to stand up for herself and to dream. So when she died, Mary attempted to conform to society, which luckily didn't last long.
Wollstonecraft soon returned to London and became an assistant to Joseph Johnson, a radical book publisher. It was here that she wrote A Vindication of the Rights of Women in 1792, which stated that women who were confined to domestic life were much more likely to become restless, leading to problems that people generally blamed on women. According to Wollstonecraft, all of these problems could be fixed if the women were offered the same educational opportunities as men.
A Vindication of the Rights of Women was originally supposed to be a response to Edmund Burke's reflection on the French Revolutions. But Thomas Paine published his Rights of Man before Mary got a chance, so she changed her work to be focused on women.
Wollstonecraft wrote many influential works over her time. In Maria, she argued that women have needs, and it was useless and wrong to ignore them.
While in France with her friends, Wollstonecraft met Captain Gilbert Imlay. Mary was quite enamored with Imlay, and they soon had a child. She was named Fanny, after Mary's best friend. During this time, Mary was in a state of depression and attempted to take her life twice. Imlay promptly left her, and their whirlwind romance came to a close, but left Mary with a child.
In the late 1700s, it was extremely hard for a woman to make her own way in the world. Girls were taught from a young age to marry well and young. Because Mary had an intimate relationship with Imlay, it was even more difficult for her to support herself.
Soon, Mary found new love in William Goodwin. The two courted and eventually wed due to her unexpected pregnancy. Their daughter was named Mary Wollstonecraft Goodwin and would later become the author of Frankenstein. Due to complications during the birth, Mary passed 10 days after her baby was born. Mary today is seen as the founder of feminism, as well as a very influential philosopher. Over her brief career, she wrote novels, kickstarted the national reform movement for schools, and called for the betterment of women's status. Mary broke through so many barriers to get to where she was. Mary is an influence to so many young and old women today, as she shows how one woman can make such an impactful difference on so many lives. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch our video about Mary Wollstonecraft and all the barriers she had to break through in order to accomplish her goals in life. Although Mary's life was cut short, the differences she made during her lifetime were amazing. Without Mary Wollstonecraft, feminism would not be what it is today. We thank her for all the things she did to get to where we are today.